My son put me in a nursing home and moved into my house. Here is what I learned. I am 78 years old, and I want you to stop what you are doing for just a moment, because what I am about to tell you is not easy. It is not comfortable, but it is true, and I think some of you need to hear it. My son put me in a nursing home without my consent, not because I was sick, not because I was confused, because the house I spent 40 years paying for was worth more to him than I was. And while I was sitting in that facility, wondering why he wasn't answering his phone, he was sleeping in my bed, living in my house, using my things, telling the neighbors I had gotten confused and needed care. He didn't put me somewhere safe. He cleared me out so he could move in. And I want to tell you what happened next. Not to make you angry, not to make you afraid, but because I wished with everything in me that someone had sat me down years earlier and said what I am about to say to you now. So listen. His name is Jason, and I loved that boy with everything I had. I raised him alone after his father passed. I worked double shifts. I skipped meals. I pawned my wedding ring to buy his graduation suit. I did all of it without asking for a single thing in return, because I thought love came back around. I really believed that. When I fainted in my kitchen one Tuesday morning, Jason rushed over that evening with his wife, Danielle. They brought soup. They held my hands. They said all the right things. We just want what's best for you, Mama. And I believed them. That was my first mistake. Not trusting my son, but letting love make me stop paying attention. A week later, they took me to lunch. Just the three of us. I didn't bring my phone charger. I didn't wear my good shoes. I had no reason to think I needed them. They dropped me at a facility with beige walls and plastic flowers in the hallway. Just a few days, Jason said. He hugged me tight. Danielle kissed my cheek. And then they walked out the door. They did not come back. I want to tell you what that feels like, because people think betrayal feels like anger, like fire. It doesn't. It feels like confusion, like your mind keeps going back to the last normal moment, trying to find where it went wrong. I kept thinking about the soup, the way Danielle refilled my glass without being asked. Surely people who do that don't also forge your signature. Surely people who say I love you don't also change your locks. But they did. A nurse showed me an admissions form, my name, his signature, boxes checked. When I asked to use the phone, I was told to wait for visiting hours. When I finally reached one, Jason didn't answer. Danielle had blocked me. The same woman who used to cry in my kitchen about how hard marriage was had blocked me. And while I sat in that stiff little chair, staring at beige walls, Jason was rearranging my furniture, sleeping under my roof, walking through rooms I scrubbed with my own hands for 40 years. I found out later he had already started telling people the house was his now, that I wouldn't be coming back. He really believed that. I sat in that chair and looked out at a courtyard full of people who barely remembered their names. And I thought, is this how it ends? After everything I gave? After every meal I skipped and every ring I pawned? No, no. That night I asked the night nurse for a pen and a notebook. Told her I liked to journal. She brought me a little spiral one from the activities closet. I didn't write prayers. I wrote facts, dates, account numbers, names. And at the top of the first page, I wrote the name of my lawyer, Monica Reeves. 2 years since we'd spoken, but she never took me off her client list. Because here is something I want you to understand. I was not confused. I was not delusional. I was not finished. I was just a woman who had spent so many years pouring herself out for other people that she forgot to protect herself on paper. Monica answered on the second call. She drove 3 hours in the rain, walked through those front doors, and told the nurse at the desk she was my attorney. I saw the staff get nervous. Good. She came into my room with a briefcase and a look in her eyes that made me exhale for the first time in weeks. "You're not staying here another week," she said. What followed was not dramatic. It was paperwork, legal motions, a capacity evaluation from the facility's own doctor, who told me privately he saw no signs of dementia. The forged power of attorney was revoked. My accounts were restored. My house, which still had only my name on the deed, was legally mine again. Jason had to leave, not with a fight, not with screaming, just a legal notice in 30 days. I left the facility on a Wednesday afternoon. No fanfare. Just a bag of clothes Monica bought me, and the feeling of cold air on my face. Freedom, I want to tell you, smells different after someone has tried to take it from you. Now here is the part I really want you to hear. I sold the house, not out of bitterness, but because I realized I didn't need it anymore. What I needed was something chosen freely, not handed back to me after someone tried to steal it. I found a little one-story place, rose bush out front, a porch where I could sit without explaining myself to anyone. I paid in full and signed my own name, and I cried a little in the car afterward. Good tears this time. My grandson Tyler found me about 3 weeks after I moved in. He knocked on my door with his backpack slung low and his eyes full of something he didn't have words for yet. I didn't ask questions. I just let him in. We sat on the porch. I poured him iced tea. Eventually he said, "They told me you had dementia, but you don't look confused to me." I never was, I told him. He stayed for dinner, then the weekend, then most of that month. I knew a woman once who spent years waiting for her children to return to her, waiting by the phone, making herself smaller so they wouldn't feel guilty. She told me she felt like a ghost in her own life. I understood her then in a way I never had before, because I almost became that. Jason came to my porch once, hat in hand, eyes tired. He said he was sorry, and I believe he meant it. But here is what I have learned about sorry. Sorry is a beginning, not an ending. And trust, real trust, is not something you hand back to someone just because they ask for it, especially not when they used it to sign your name away and sleep in your bed while you sat wondering what you did wrong. I told him I forgave him, and I do. But I also told him that forgiveness is not the same as forgetting, and it is not the same as pretending nothing changed, because everything changed. I am not the same woman who pawned her ring so he could walk across that stage. I am someone else now, someone who learned the hardest way a person can learn, that love without legal protection is just hope, and hope on its own is not enough. So let me tell you what I know now. Update your documents, your will, your power of attorney. Know your accounts. Have a lawyer whose name you can find at 2 in the morning when everything falls apart. These are not cold things to do. They are not suspicious things. They are the most loving things you can do for yourself. And pay attention to the people around you, not with fear, not with suspicion, but with your eyes open. Because the people closest to you are sometimes the ones you stop reading. You trust them so completely that you forget to notice what they are actually doing. I loved my son completely. I just forgot to love myself with the same devotion. And he walked right through the door I left open. Tyler asked me once why I chose such a small house. I told him because I only needed enough room for what mattered. He looked around at the little kitchen, the porch, the rose bush coming back in spring. Seems like enough, he said. It is, baby. It really is. You are not too old to protect yourself. You are not too late to update a document. Call a lawyer. Ask a hard question of someone who makes you feel uneasy. You are not a burden. But you are also not required to trust people simply because you love them. Love your family with your whole heart and protect yourself with your whole mind. Because I learned that lesson in a room with beige walls and plastic flowers while my son slept in my bed and called it inheritance. And I am giving that lesson to you for free. Don't wait until you need a notebook and a lawyer to finally start protecting yourself. Start today, while it is still your choice.